Coming up right now, an ecological disaster of epic proportions happening right here in the United States. We have the details. Plus, Demi Lovato has broken her silence for the first time since her overdose. Daily Flash starts right now. Hi everyone, I'm Warren Wright, and please say hello to my co-host Annika Kosas.
Don't you have some good news for me?
I wish I did.
No,
you know what though? I was over in Southwest Florida earlier in the week, and I know that you love to go there on vacation.
Love it so much.
Sanibel Island is really special, right?
Super happy place for me.
Man, I tell you what, Anna, this story is going to shock you. Okay, it's an ecological disaster of epic proportions happening right here in the United States. A toxic algae bloom sweeping Florida's southwest coast is being described as the worst in more than a decade, with the so-called red tide blanketing beaches in dead fish and killing sharks, manatees, and endangered sea turtles. Polluted water coming out of Lake Okeechobee is loaded with fertilizer phosphates. It's like rocket fuel for algae blooms. It's creating a blanket over the water that is killing an entire ecosystems. The fumes are causing children to go to the hospital for lung irritation. People who have entered the water with small cuts on their feet has led to infections and actual amputations. The problem, land north of the lake is used for cattle ranching. The cow feces pour into the lake downstream. Below the lake is sugarcane farming. All the water loaded with fertilizers is pumped back into the lake as well. The toxic brew is then flowing to the rivers, leading to both the east and west coasts. The conditions have never been worse, leading to death, destruction, and environmental annihilation.
What is happening?
It
This
is
so tragic.
And it's like spreading up and down the coast, and it's killing endangered animals. I mean, people can't swim. Honestly,
And you think this is a
it's
result
so
of
bad.
climate change?
Well, no, we really talked about it. It's the conditions. We're pumping fertilizers into the sugarcane
right.
fields,
But
and it's the cows,
Right.
And it's just a toxic brew.
But that's what they're saying, that that everything having to do with the cattle has affected.
The methane produced from the cattle is increasing the issue of climate change.
Yeah.
Well, and then also just the heat is like adding to it and then exacerbating the problem. Okay, so one of the cities hit hardest by the algae bloom is the Fort Myers and Cape Coral area. Now, Forbes magazine listed it as the fastest growing metropolitan area in the country. And I was over there this past weekend, and here's a picture I took at the city's yacht basin. You can see how thick this blanket of algae is, and I can honestly tell you, we couldn't stay there for very long because first our noses were irritated, then our eyes were itching, and after a while it just felt like you had early stages of flu.
Did it smell bad? Really?
It hit you like a wall. And honestly, I didn't know if it was just psychosomatic, but then once we left the area, it's like your throat started to feel better and your nose kind of opened up and the
exposure
eyes.
to all these environmental factors are causing all sorts of diseases. You know, there's so many people that have cancer and things like that have no family history whatsoever, and it has to do with environmental factors. This can't help. I mean, if you get a little cut and you go in there and your leg could potentially end up being amputated.
People were posting on
imagine.
Facebook pictures of like having a cut, and then like you could literally see their bones and their veins and their muscles because the infections were so bad and they were having to get amputated. So one thing to point out though, there's a really big political race right now.
Right.
You know, Senator Nelson is defending a seat against Governor Rick Scott.
Right.
And, you know, it's razor close with those two. I mean, in terms of the Senate and the balance of power. So everyone's watching this particular race. And you can't help but wonder, since Governor Scott has been governor for 8 years, you know, is this going to tip the balance of power?
I hope it does.
And he could very well lose, not win this office. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think people are mad.
I mean, if you've
People
been
are
somewhere
really
8
angry.
years and this is happening, then it's time for a change.
You're right.
It's time for a change. I'm sorry, give somebody else a chance.
And I mean, you know, you're talking about not only just ecological devastation, but like all the restaurants, the
Everything's affected.
hotels, everyone is really suffering
So
a lot
now
from
nobody's
this.
going there. Before you can even get a reservation, the long weekends and stuff. Now
no.
you check and there's
And the week before
plenty
school,
of
and the week
vacancy.
before school starts,
Sure.
that's usually like a really busy time for the hotels too, right? It's like the last hurrah. Beaches
was
are
empty. It was completely empty. Because-
Well, you can't handle it. I mean, you know, you just get irritated.
It's ugly, it smells bad, you feel bad. I mean, it's very tragic. I hope it gets better.